Hello, fellow patriots, and welcome back to Red Rights and You, where we give you the unfiltered truth while the mainstream media spoon feeds you a steaming pile of Adam Schiff. I'm Tim Andrews, and we're going to be joined again by Mark Mosgrove shortly. We're going to be shedding some light on one of the longest-running scams in history, the U.S. government's ability to fool, fleece, and frustrate its own citizens. They clumsily use misdirection like cheap magicians, expecting us to look in the other direction while they conduct their astounding feats of debauchery. For decades, they've told us, just trust us. We're the good guys. The Russians are the ones spreading all the propaganda. Meanwhile, the media has played their loyal lapdog, wagging their tails whenever their masters in Washington tell them to cover up another scandal. And we, the American people, were expected to sit down, shut up, and just go along with the lie. But here's the thing. Some of us never bought it. We saw the signs. We heard the contradictions. We watched politicians stand in front of cameras, say one thing, and then deny it months later, like we all suddenly developed amnesia. And the best part? They actually expected us to go along with it. Remember when lying under oath was a crime? Yeah, me neither. At least not if you're a politician. The American people get thrown in the slammer for tax evasion, but if you're a corrupt official with friends in high places, you get a cushy cabinet appointment and a pension plan at the taxpayer's expense. But something has changed. The perfect political storm has arrived, and thankfully, we finally have a shot at justice. The left's biggest mistake was they got too comfortable. They assumed the American people were so dumbed down by fake news, TikTok, and government handouts that we wouldn't notice when they shoved their woke agenda down our throats. Hey, newsflash. Turns out people actually care about things like gas prices, border security, and their kids' education more than whether a billionaire CEO put his pronouns in his email signature. And let's not forget their inclusive hiring practices. Joe Biden took equity so seriously that 14% of his cabinet was LGBTQ, double the national average. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't hire the best person for the job, but when you start picking people based on diversity quotas instead of competence, don't be shocked when your administration runs like a DMV at lunchtime. Meanwhile, as the Democrats cater to their activist far-left fringe, the midstream majority, the hard-working, tax-paying, fed-up American citizens started coming to their senses. And here's the bonus. Legacy media lost its grip. They can't control the narrative anymore because now we have social media, independent journalism, podcasts, and YouTube channels like this one. Turns out when people have options, they are choosing liberal media outlets like CNBC and CNN far less frequently. And now the icing on the cake, the return of President Donald J. Trump. That's right, the sheriff is back in town. He has witnessed and experienced firsthand the corruption and lengths that the crooked left will go to in order to accomplish their evil agenda. And he's not here to play nice. After enduring years of baseless investigations, sham impeachments, and enough media hit pieces to fill the Library of Congress, not to mention a pair of assassination attempts, he's still standing. And what terrifies the establishment the most is he's one of us. He's not a career politician. He doesn't owe favors to lobbyists. He's a billionaire who doesn't need this job, but he's doing it anyway because he actually gives a damn about America. And unlike your typical swamp creature, he's not here to maintain the status quo. He's here to blow it up. That's why the left is in full panic mode. They're squealing like pigs being led to slaughter. And why? Because they know that once Trump's watchdogs snip out the corruption and follow the money leading to their fat cat politician bank accounts, it will be game over. And let's be clear, he's not stopping at the Democrats. The Republican establishment should be sweating bullets too, because Trump isn't here to play favorites. He's here to clean house. The Trump train isn't making pit stops for corrupt politicians, deep state operatives, or media hacks. He's moving fast, folks. Campaign promises checked off like a grocery list. Corruption being exposed at breakneck speed. The swamp about to get drained for real this time. So what can we do? First, don't get complacent. This fight is not over. The deep state isn't going to roll over and surrender. They'll pull every dirty trick in the book. But as long as we stay informed, vocal, and most importantly, united, we will win this war for America's soul. The Trump agenda has momentum, and I, for one, am here for it. With no further ado, let's bring in Mark Mosgrove. Mark, how are you doing today?
How's it going on this February 22nd, 2021?
Hey, Mark, how you doing? I feel like I'm in a time machine here.
Well, Biden's been president for about a month. A bunch of people have lost their jobs because they won't wear their masks. But, you don't hear about it in the news at all. I don't know why.
Yeah.
And we were kind of worried about Biden because he kind of didn't campaign very much, but it's because of COVID. But we think that, now once that he's president, we're going to see him every day. He's going to be on top of things, and he's going to really get things under control. And it's going to be a great 4 years.
Wow. That is really optimistic, Mark.
Now, what's kind of weird is you look older than last time I saw you.
Yeah, in my world, I mean, I think this is like the Marvel multiverse, right? I mean, in your world, Biden is president. Believe it or not, in my bizarro multiverse world, whatever you want to call it, Donald Trump is actually president again.
Oh, well.
And Biden just got finished with 4 years.
What year is it?
Yeah, it's 2025, Mark. Where are you at?
I'm February 23rd, 2021.
Wow. I'm up in 2025.
It must be this damn cheapo camera. It's put me 4 years backwards. You get COVID? Can you get COVID from me over the camera? Or can I take this off?
Well, not anymore. They used to say that, but that's been disproven.
So what you're saying is they didn't tell us the truth? We weren't supposed to wear these?
Here in the present in 2025, all that's been disproven. Those masks, they prove that they never even really did anything, Mark.
So I could take this off?
Yeah, go ahead. I can't get it now. Yeah, in the old days, I could have gotten it right through the computer. I mean, the mask stopped everything. That and the vaccinations.
Well, I'm wearing my bathrobe because everybody's working from home. They say maybe in about 6 months, everybody's going to go back to work, especially all those federal employees.
Yeah, it didn't quite work out that way. In fact, 4 long years later, President Trump is finally mandating that everyone goes back to work. Believe it or not, all these federal buildings have been empty for 4 years because nobody figured they had to go back to work. They got used to it. And once the COVID scare was over and a lot of the hoaxes and false narratives were proven, they just stayed home because they didn't have to go into work. So Trump is finally going to,
4 years?
Well, Trump he's actually introduced a word that I don't think anybody has heard before.
He's president again?
He's president again. Yeah, biggest comeback ever, Mark.
Wow.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, but I'll have to wait 4 years.
Yeah, well, it's worth it. It's going to be worth the wait. They're going to try and convince you that, believe it or not, Biden's vice president now, Kamala Harris, Biden bowed out, and they actually put her in to run against Trump.
That isn't
Kamala Harris. Can you believe that? The most inept, insignificant, most criticized vice president in U.S. history And they tried to convince us that she was fit for the job and she would be a much better leader than President Trump.
Didn't they have a primary? I mean, who did she run against?
No, they just twisted the rules and said, hey, we don't want to have a primary. We're just going to go ahead and insert her. She doesn't need to be voted in. We're just going to choose her. And so,
It doesn't sound very democratic.
Yeah, it doesn't. It almost sounds like she's playing by their rules and they just want somebody that's going to toe the company line. There's some theories that maybe that's kind of what Biden did, that he's been mentally incapable of running the country from the very beginning, and that others have basically used him as a puppet to further their agendas. Now, we're finding more and more that you're going to be really encouraged 4 years from now when you see what Trump is doing, because he's actually introduced a word that is pretty foreign to these people, and that's accountability. Yeah, it's something they've never heard before, but now they're going to be accountable for these crazy budget spends and missing monies and some of the different shenanigans that they've been pulling for years and years. And we've always said, remember when we were younger, we all knew things were going on, but we're like, you can't fight City Hall, right, Mark? I mean, It's going to happen. That's government. That's politics. Believe it or not, we've got a guy in there now that's one of us, and he's going after him. So it turns out he is fighting City Halls. It's interesting to see. You're still a year early, probably. But if you tune in another year from now, you'll see how that's working out.
Well, I was thinking that what Biden probably ought to do, he can call me for ideas. The golden child of the Democrats is Elon Musk. He ought to get Elon Musk to come in there and try to help straighten things out for him. What do you think?
Yeah, well, there's been a strange twist. I hate to break this to you, but Elon Musk, the pride of the Democratic Party, everybody wanted a Tesla. Elon Musk has sided with the evil force of Donald Trump in the Republican Party. And if you think that's crazy, wait until you hear this. He's actually showing up at meetings with chainsaws, and he's going in with Doge. Remember the Doge coin that he had? Well, now Doge is the Department of Government Efficiency. And he's going in there with the chainsaw and a group of young kids. I know you're going to find this hard to believe, but young genius computer wizards. They have their own businesses and are all young millionaires, brilliant kids, going by the name of, I think one is Harry Balls or Big Balls or something like that. And they're actually working with Elon Musk to cut all this fat in government spending. So they're right there with Donald Trump cutting the spending, and the Democrats are going crazy. It's kind of like they have a track record. Didn't they all love Donald Trump before he ran for president? And he was on The View and everything else. They just loved him. But as soon as you do something contrary to what they believe, or maybe to stop the corruption or throw the suspicion at them, shed a little light on what's going on, all of a sudden they just completely freak out and everything changes.
Well, some things never change in any time period, that's for sure. But it'll be interesting to see the next 4 years. But this thing you're talking about that's going to happen, it probably ought to be easy for him to go in, since nobody works in the offices anymore. Just going to walk in and it's just going to be empty. So, I mean, everybody's going to agree with that, aren't they? I mean, everybody wants the government smaller, don't they?
You would think, wouldn't you? You got to remember, it's a directive from Donald Trump. Can you remember the last time anybody with the Democrat Party has ever agreed with anything Donald Trump has done?
Probably.
So it really doesn't matter. He's out to cut the fat, and he's getting dangerously close to these people. And it's always the pigs that are the most guilty squeal the loudest. And that's what they're doing, boy. They're up the wall because there's all this waste, and he's got his watchdog sniffing it. And they're going to find out what it is, where it's coming from, and who's abusing it. And those people are going to be, again, accountable. So they may be prosecuted. Believe it or not, the tide has turned. Trump's not the one that's going to be spending all the time in the courts now. The sheriff's back, and he's had time to sit back. He's gone through all the persecution, and I know you're 4 years behind, but believe me,
you're 4 years ahead.
Okay, yeah.
I mean,
it gets worse, Mark. Trust me, I'm not going to tell you what happens during the next 4 years. You're going to have to find out yourself, because once you really pay attention to what's going on, it's going to make it so much sweeter when you see what transpires with the next election and Trump coming back into power. Because believe it or not, there's light at the end of the tunnel, and the only train that light belongs to is the Trump train. And it's rolling now. We're rolling, and we're actually looking to get rid of all that corruption. He's got the hammer down, full steam ahead, and he's going to knock this all out. Now, it's still early. You aren't going to believe this, but we're only a month into his administration, Mark, and all these things are happening already. I know that's hard to believe because that's not status quo like government's supposed to be, but it's a whole new world.
I guess basically he got a second chance, so he just decided whatever it takes.
Yeah. And what are they going to do? Not let him run for a third term?
Oh, well, they might just make him the emperor. I mean, I just watched Gladiator 2 last night. Well, no, I watched Gladiator 1. Gladiator 2's coming out in a couple years. Caught myself there.
See, I just saw Gladiator 2. I just saw Captain America yesterday. And it's not even Steve Rogers. It's the Falcon. Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense.
But it will, Mark, once you see what's going on with the movies. Once they start making them again, then they milk the COVID thing for everything it's worth, and they allow people to start going back to theaters. They're going to actually start making new movies again. I know that's kind of a weird concept.
I've just been listening to Taylor Swift all the time because she really has the knowledge of what's going on in politics. And my kids say just follow whatever Taylor says.
Yeah. And, Taylor, she's always dated those kind of wimpy, effeminate kind of liberal, wishy-washy men. Kind of shies away from the athletic types. But I don't want to ruin the surprise, Mark. But there's a big one coming with Taylor.
She's going to be performing at the Super Bowl with the Browns?
Well, she won't be performing with the Browns. She will be appearing at the Super Bowl, but she won't be performing until after the Super Bowl. And that will be with one of the Super Bowl participants.
Oh.
Now, that's all I'm going to say. I don't want to get too in the weeds with this, but you don't want to ruin the future. I don't want to give you lottery ticket numbers and things like that because you just don't want to upset the timeline. Although we'll talk.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, I don't know how we got these wires crossed. It's just the cheap ass camera I got. I think it's from China or something. I don't know.
This isn't the first time I've heard that this happened. You get outdated equipment and you're basically just kind of missing the timeline.
I've heard it's happened in hot tubs, but I've never heard about it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, there's this movie that's come out. Oh, wait, you've probably already seen that. Hot Tub Time Machine. That was even before then.
Are they up to Hot Tub Time Machine 5 or 6 by now?
No, I think maybe they've had enough of it. Somebody may have actually gotten electrocuted in that hot tub, and it just cut them off.
They had no future.
But I'll tell you what, I'm glad I was able to set the record straight with you, Mark. I don't want to ruin all the surprises.
Well, I've got the dough we bought from working from home and, doing the COVID thing. I mean, I even wear my mask in the car just to make sure that I'm not getting the steering wheel infected.
No, they said driving by yourself with a mask on isn't really preventing anything, especially people looking into the car and thinking you're completely insane. It's definitely not preventing that.
Okay, well, I better let you go.
All right, Mark. Hey, it's good having you on again. I'm sorry about your purchase. Hopefully you'll get that other camera and you'll be able to get back up to speed and back to present day and we can move ahead with present day politics. But yeah, I can.
Sounds like a lot's going on.
Yeah, you and I will be doing some things in the future. I can tell you that. And we'll be talking about some present day events once you get up to date with all of your equipment and you get back into the now instead of the living in the past like Jethro Tull.
I feel bad. I just feel bad for all those federal workers and military people that lost their jobs. I mean, the news media didn't cover it all. I mean, they all lost their jobs and they didn't say a word about it because they wouldn't get a shot or they wouldn't wear their mask because, why didn't they say anything about that? I don't know.
Yeah,
You
those
don't have anything
people,
like that going on right now, do you?
no. If we did, the Democrats would be up in arms about it. Just like the pipeline that they stopped work on that pipeline
They
Biden did,
did.
and 40,000 people lost their jobs, but you never really heard anything.
Sure, there was rioting in the streets over that one there.
Yeah, and the Democrats, they do not have double standards. So if people are losing their jobs today because Trump came in and he's trying to cut the fat, and people just decide they don't want to come to work, and then they just all want to complain because they're losing their jobs, the Democrats wouldn't say anything because they remember back when all those people lost their jobs because they weren't
True.
vaccinated, and
Yeah,
all the energy workers that were drilling, and over 40,000 people lost their jobs at the drop of a hat when Biden cut that out, because they would know how hypocritical that is. And one thing I think you'll understand more and more as Biden's term goes on, where you're at right now, is you cannot say about the Democrats, and that is that they're hypocrites, because
they do what they say at all times.
they do what they say, and they expect those same high standards from the other side. So I'm glad we could talk about it, but we could talk about the ethics and the honesty and the Democratic Party all day long, because we know they're nothing if not upstanding, hardworking, honest politicians.
Yeah. So I gotta let you go here because I'm working at home. I've gotta go play a video game or something while I'm on.
Let me give you a real quick tip, and then we'll end this session, because you're in the past, you got a lot of things to do. You're probably not gonna need this for.
Catch up.
You're not going to need this for probably the next 4 years, but let me just offer you a suggestion, save you a little trouble. You need to write down 5 things that you're accomplishing by working at home. 5 things that you're doing, that you're keeping yourself busy, that you're being productive with. And you need to sign that and put it in an envelope addressed to Elon Musk. And then just put it in your safe for 4 years. It's going to come in handy. Just a quick tidbit for you.
Okay. Well, I'll do that after I watch Joy Reid tonight on MSNBC.
She's got a very bright future, let me tell you.
Oh, I bet. Well, hey, I gotta get going. So we'll see you later.
Thanks, Mark. Good having you again, buddy. Thanks, everybody, for joining me on Red, Rights, and You. I hope you join us next time. God bless you all. God bless America, and stay the course, stay strong, and stay patriotic. Thank you so much. We'll all talk soon. Thanks, Mark. Bye-bye.